Okay, we have one more item before lunch, and that is is he here, Scott?
So we told him to come at 12:30. So if you want, we can do the state fiscal year 19 request agenda item. I don't need more than 10 minutes on that.
Okay, let's do it.
So again, it is a perpetual part of the process that is part of the request going into the legislative session that the board makes of the legislature. We share those requests with the governor's office, obviously.
So
the governor's budget
we're
is
on
out.
item 17 for those that are.
Okay, you're okay? Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
I think they're getting ready. I just want to make sure they're there.
Okay, so the governor's budget request is out too. So after I complete this briefing or this agenda item, I'm going to send a link to you that shows his request if you haven't seen it yet. We intended on trying to do the side-by-side comparison for this meeting, but because of the holidays and different staff being off and all that, we weren't able to quite get there. What we will do is for the first meeting that occurs up on the Hill, for your first meeting that occurs up on the Hill, we're going to respectfully request that you consider putting an agenda item on there too, where we can do that side-by-side comparison with you. Also, we confirmed today that the superintendent, myself, the other deputies will meet with the governor's staff on January 17th, so well ahead of the legislative session, so that we can provide you that side-by-side comparison so you're ready for that during the legislative session, again, on the first meeting, subject to approval of the Board of Leadership, that can be an agenda item for that first legislative meeting or the meeting that you have up on the Hill. So for your review or for your benefit too, is we've also included, the tracking chart is available to you so you can further orient and remind yourself of what actions were taken, what your priorities are, and all that too. We also want to make sure that we were clear with the legislature that, the board did request a 5.5% WPU increase at a minimum, and that, our language or that our message is that, beyond that, because we always are subject to the revenue estimates or the revenue amounts that come in, too, that we want to, ensure that that's a clear message on that too, that, and then beyond that, it becomes the board priorities and all that. Does that make sense? That, of course there's growth, the growth piece on that too, that you find at the top part of the tracker on that too. So during this particular agenda item, we just wanted to make sure that you got another view of the tracker, that you see exactly what went forward to the governor's office, what we will be carrying into the legislative session. Again, I'll send you the link for the governor's budget, and then we'll go from there as far as the side-by-side comparison, again, subject to whether or not you approve us doing so as an agenda item for that first meeting that you have up on the Hill. We, as your staff, feel that that's important, that you have that opportunity to compare side-by-side what the requests are. So that if you get questions about, what your priorities are, what came out in the governor's budget and all that, you're able to respond to those accordingly. So we feel it's very value added to do that with and for you. So on that too. Any questions or concerns?
Any questions regarding this, our budget request? Vice Chair comments.
I believe it's line 1 under the budget priorities is the K-3 reading growth calculation for somewhere around 13
Correct.
million.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a legislative kind of request. I think it was item 15 on our list that will be on our agenda today as well.
Yeah, okay.
And so I'm just curious, as we move forward, I'm going to break this by the end of the day. As we move forward, kind of with those two simultaneous requests, is there a way to rename that over time where
Sure.
if we do go forward with that kind of that block grant scenario, that we want to include this extra 13 million growth calculation in with that?
There will be that
block?
opportunity.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. We'll work closely with the LFAs on that. Since we never steal staff from the legislature, we expertly acquired Jill Curry. Then she's over here, and there's a replacement for her. His name is Sean. So we'll be working with Sean and Ben to make sure that, however that turns out, we can certainly look to change the the titles or different on that, depending on how that process goes. So, absolutely.
Okay, any further questions?